Chapter 1 of R. Holmes and Company. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. R. Holmes and Company, being the remarkable adventures of Raffles Holmes, Esquire, detective and amateur cracksman by birth, by John Kendrick Bangs. Chapter 1, Introducing Mr. Raffles Holmes. It was a blistering night in August. All day long the mercury in the thermometer had been flirting with the figures at the top of the tube, and the promised shower at night which a mendacious weather bureau had been prophesying as a slight mitigation of our sufferings was conspicuous wholly by its absence. I had but one comfort in the sweltering hours of the day, afternoon, and evening, and that was that my family were away in the mountains, and there was no law against my sitting around all day clad only in my pyjamas, and otherwise concealed from possibly intruding eyes by the wreaths of smoke which I extracted from the 19 or 20 cigars which, when there is no protesting eye to suggest otherwise, form my daily allowance. I have tried every method known to the resourceful flat dweller of modern times to get cool and to stay so, but alas, it was impossible. Even the radiators, which all winter long had never once given forth a spark of heat, now hissed to the touch of my moistened finger. Enough cooling drinks to float an ocean greyhound had passed into my inner man, with no other result than to make me perspire more profusely than ever, and in so far as sensations went, to make me feel hotter than before. Finally, as a last resource, along about midnight, its gridiron floor having had a chance to lose some of its stored up warmth, I climbed out upon the fire escape at the rear of the Richmere, hitched my hammock from one of the railings thereof to the leader running from the roof to the area, and swung myself therein some 80 feet above the concealed pavement of our back yard, so called perhaps because of its dimensions, which were just about that square. It was a little improvement, though nothing to brag of. What fitful zephyrs there might be, caused no doubt by the rapid passage to and fro on the roof above and fence tops below of vagrant felines on Cupid's contentious battles bent, to the disturbance of the still air, soughed softly through the meshes of my hammock, and gave some measure of relief, grateful enough for which I ceased the perfid language I had been using practically since sunrise, and dozed off. And then there entered upon the scene that marvellous man, Raffles Holmes, of whose exploits it is the purpose of these papers to tell. I had dozed perhaps for a full hour when the first strange sounds grated upon my ear. Somebody had opened a window in the kitchen of the first floor apartment below, and with a dark lantern was inspecting the iron platform of the fire escape without. A moment later this somebody crawled out of the window, and with movements that in themselves were a sufficient indication of the questionable character of his proceedings, made for the ladder leading to the floor above, upon which many a time and oft had I too climbed to home in safety when an inconsiderate janitor had locked me out. Every step that he took was stealthy. That much I could see by the dim starlight. His lantern he had turned dark again, evidently lest he should attract attention in the apartments below as he passed their windows in this upward flight. Ha, ha, thought I to myself, it's never too hot for Mr. Sneak to get in his fine work. I wonder whose stuff he is after. Turning over flat on my stomach so that I might the more easily observe the man's movements, and breathing pianissimo lest he in turn should observe mine, I watched him as he climbed. Up he came as silently as the midnight mouse upon a soft carpet, up past the Jorkins apartment on the second floor, up stealthily by the Ticklesons' abode on the third, up past the fire escape Italian garden of little Miss Persimmon on the fourth, up past the windows of the disagreeable Garraway's kitchen below mine, and then, with the easy grace of a feline, zip, he silently landed within reach of my hand on my own little iron veranda, and craning his neck to one side, peered in through the open window and listened intently for 2 full moments. Whispered my inner consciousness to itself, he is the coolest thing I have seen since last Christmas left town. I wonder what he is up to. There's nothing in my apartment worth stealing, now that my wife and children are away, unless it be my Jap valet, Nogi, who might make a very excellent cab driver if I could only find words to convey to his mind the idea that he is discharged. And then the visitor, apparently having correctly assured himself that there was no one within, stepped across the window sill and vanished into the darkness of my kitchen. A moment later I too entered the window in pursuit. Not so close a one, however, as to acquaint him with my proximity. I wanted to see what the chap was up to, and also being totally unarmed and ignorant as to whether or not he carried dangerous weapons, I determined to go slow for a little while. Moreover, the situation was not wholly devoid of novelty, and it seemed to me that here at last was abundant opportunity for a new sensation. As he had entered, so did he walk cautiously along the narrow bowling alley that served for a hallway connecting my drawing room and library with the dining room, until he came to the library, into which he disappeared. This was not reassuring to me, because, to tell the truth, I value my books more
Sample complete. Ready to continue?